Okay, so now going back, so the types of organizational structure again, we have the Interpreneurial Structure, the Functional Structure, the Divisional Structure, the Strategic Business Unit Structure, the Matrix Structure, then the Network Structure. Okay, so let's have first the Entrepreneurial Structure. This is the most elementary form of structure, and it's good for the organization that is owned and managed by one person. So this is a small scale proprietary concern or small service outlet may exhibit the characteristics of organizations which are based on entrepreneurial structure. Typically, these organizations are single business, product or service companies that serve local markets. The owner manager looks after all the decisions, whether they are day-to-day operational matters or of strategic nature. So this is the organizational structure of entrepreneurial structure. The owner as the manager and then the employee. So that's why it's not get complicated. This is the most elementary form of structure in which all of the decision of course comes from the owner. So this advantages quick decision making as power is centralized, timely response to environmental changes. Why? Because all of the decision will come from a single person, from the owner. Informal and simple organization system, so there is no need for most of the time there's no need for a black and white or memo if the owner has something to tell to the employees because it's just between the owner and then the employees, and each number of employees is just, let's just say, small number of employees. So the disadvantages, excessive reliance on owner manager, and so proves to be demanding for owner manager. So here, if the one of the advantages is quick decision making, because there's only one person to decide, the disadvantage is all of the problems, all of the things that needed to be solved in the organization will all be handled by the owner. So attention of owner manager might be diverted to day-to-day operation, thus strategic decision may be ignored. So the owner manager here is busy accomplishing the day-to-day encounter, the day-to-day operation of the organization. So so that means to say that the owner will no longer have time to think what needs to be improved because he is alone. Might improve inadequate for future requirements if volume of business expands because all of the responsibilities, like for example solving the problem, all goes to the manager or to the owner. So the next structure is the functional. As volume of business expands, the entrepreneurial structure may outlive its usefulness. Special skills and delegation of authority to managers who can look after the different functional areas is needed. Specialization of skills is according to the line and the staff functions. The functional structure seeks to distribute decision making and operational authority along functional side. So here in functional structure, so from the word functional, from the word function, is this structure is based on the different expertise of the department. So like for example, if you hire people who are good in finance, then this person will be automatically be part of the finance department. So like for example here, sales, if that person is good in sales and marketing, so the focus of that person is on sales and marketing. So in functional structure now, the grouping is based on the function, how the organization will operate. So here, advantages: efficient distribution of work through specialization. Well, of course, uh, effort, time will not be wasted because the persons or the individuals they are in which they are part of a particular department are all good or have this are all are all expert in that field, so they really can do the work efficiently. Delegation of day-to-day operational functions, because you know that all these individuals know are experts, they know how in that particular field. So provides time to top management to focus on strategic decisions. So what are the disadvantages? Creates difficulty in coordination among different functional areas. So one of the disadvantages is that, for example, there is a need for a particular person to work in another department. So it's difficult to pull out a person from finance going to the sales and marketing because the expertise of this particular person is in finance. So that is just the disadvantage there. So meaning you cannot just pull out a person just like that. You cannot pull out the person immediately because you know that that person is not expert of that field. So creates a specialist which result in narrow specialization, often at the cost of the overall benefit of the organization. So since the workers are not that flexible, so meaning it will result in narrow specialization because like I've said a while ago, you cannot just easily pull out that person to work in different department. So leads to functional and line and staff conflicts. Why? Because we really cannot avoid the fact that sometimes some of the workers or the employees would say, okay, this department is always good at this. So whereas that particular department, they just do simple things. So that leads to conflict because sometimes some of the departments who are who seem not to be always in the eyes of the other employees would discriminate this particular group or this particular department. Okay, so the functional structure is quite common and exists in its original or modified form as the organization evolves from the initial to the mature stages of development. So that is why even in organizational structure, there is no best structure because it depends on the needs of a particular organization. If you need, if you need, if in your organization, what is needed is someone who are expert in a particular field in order to have in order to accomplish the work efficiently. So this is the time that you are going to choose functional structure. But if you think that you just have few members in the organization, then you are hesitant to just immediately get some workers just in a small span of time, in a shorter span of time. So this is now the disadvantage if you're just going to focus on functional structure. Because if that is the case, then flexibility is very important. So when we speak of flexibility, so meaning the workers that you need to hire are also individuals who are open to changes, who are open-minded, that maybe there are times that they will be asked to do something that is to do different tasks inside the organization. Okay, so we have here the divisional structure. The functional structure satisfies the needs of expansion and growth, but as organization evolve, growth and increasing complexity in terms of geographic expansion, market segmentation, and diversification make the functional structure inadequate. Some sort of divisional structure is then required as work gets divided on the basis of product lines, type of customers serve, different customers, markets, and geographic areas. Separate divisions or groups are created and placed under the divisional level management. Within division, the functional structure may still operate. So for the divisional structure, this is now the time in which there is growth and increasing complexity. Okay, when it comes to geographic expansion, market segmentation, and diversification. Okay, so like for example, here you will see in the chart. So in different, like for example, in general manager 1, it's in different area, different location. So, but if you will see same functions. Okay, so the only difference of divisional structure and functional is that in functional, the focus is just in one area, but as time goes by, that particular organization in which that particular organization, there's already this growth when it comes to their sales. So that is now the time that they will have this divisional structure. But you will see it's still, their focus is still on the different expertise of their employees. Okay, so advantages enables grouping of functions required for the performance of activities related to division, generate quick response on environment changes affecting the businesses of different divisions, enables top management to focus on strategic matters. So disadvantages, problem might occur in allocation of resources and corporate overhead costs, particularly if the business and corporate objectives are ill-defined. Okay, so like for example, there is this misunderstanding when it comes to the policies, rules, or when it comes to the instructions coming from the CEO. So the implementation now will be different, going to the general manager division 1, general manager division 2. So if their perspective is different, then that is the time that there will be this problems that will occur when it comes to allocation of resources because of the miscommunication. So inconsistency arising from the sharing of authority between corporate and divisional levels. This is what I'm telling you a while ago, that perhaps there are times that we really cannot avoid that the way that the understanding of the general manager division 1 is different from what the CEO is trying to convey to them. Okay. So policy inconsistencies between the different, because, well, of course, not unless the CEO will always going to supervise the two. So that is the time that there will be this consistency. But I doubt, because of course the position of the CEO or the area of the CEO is different from the GM1 and then from the GM2. So since these two are two different persons, so That's what I'm telling you. While ago, I keep on telling you that perhaps there will be this different perception. Okay, so let's have the strategic business unit structure. A strategic business unit is the part of business organization that is treated separately for strategic management purposes. So organizations face difficulty in managing divisional operations due to increased diversity, size, and number of divisions, and thus it becomes difficult for the top management to exercise strategic control. Here, the SBU concept is helpful in creating, and SBU organization is structured. Okay, so here you will see the SBU. So within an organization, there will be this unit that is being created to exercise strategic control. Okay. Okay, so what is the essence of this? Of course, the essence of this strategic business unit is for the organization to to search for another way how to increase their income. So that is a strategic business unit. It is another way for expansion that once the SBU will become successful, then it will now become a big part of their organization. That if that, like for example, the other SBU, like for example, this is successful, this A will become successful, then it will become part of their entire organization. That if B is not successful, then they will now conclude that they're not going to continue that project. Okay, so that is SBU, another way for the organization to become innovative, to think for another way how to improve their organization. So what are the advantages? Establishes coordination between divisions having common strategic interests, facilitates strategic management and control of large, diverse organization, fixes accountability at the levels of distinct business. So what are the disadvantages? There might be too many SBUs to handle effectively in large, diverse organizations, difficulty in assigning responsibility and defining autonomy for SBU heads, addition of another layer of management between corporate and divisional. Well, of course, there will be another layer of management. Okay. Okay, so we have here the matrix structure. So in large organizations, there is often a strategic need to work on major products or services or projects. This results in creating a matrix organizational structure. Such type of structure is created, assigning functional specialists to work on special project or a new product or service. For the duration of the project, specialists from different areas form a group or team and report to a team leader. Simultaneously, they might also work in their respective departments. Once projects are completed, the team members report to their respective parent departments. So this is how matrix structure works. So different individuals who are expert in different functions will be pulled out to work for a particular project that in a particular project. Then after doing the project, that is this people who have been pulled out will of course go back to their respective departments. Okay, so again, for the matrix structure, the purpose of the organization is they are going to create a new product. And in creating this new product, there is a need for them to pull out different individuals in the different departments, and they will all be together in one project, that after doing this project, all this will go back to their respective departments. So what are the advantages? Allows individual specialists to be assigned where their talent is most needed. So fosters creativity because of pooling of diverse talents. So there will be this brainstorming because they are from different departments. They can share their expertise to others, provides good exposure to specialists in general management. So what are the disadvantages? Dual accountability creates confusion and difficulty for individual team members. Why dual accountability? Because it doesn't follow that they were being pulled out, that they are not, that they will no longer do their respective, their original task. So requires high level of vertical and horizontal combination. So high level of vertical, why vertical? Because they are working in their field of expertise, and of course they have their boss, someone in authority, and then another why horizontal combination, vertical and horizontal, because the time that they were being pulled out, that is the time that they are going to collaborate, to become empowered to share their idea in a particular project. So that's why it's vertical and horizontal combination. Shared authority may create communication problems because, of course, if they were being pulled out to another project, they also have someone there in authority, and then of course their original work assignment, is they also have someone there in authority. So this will create communication problems because sometimes they don't know who are they going to to follow because they have another assignment. So another for communication problems is if the one being pulled out is still busy in accomplishing a task in their respective work assignment, and then there is this another task that they need to accomplish in a particular project, and where they've been pulled out. So it creates really confusion as to whether what should be done first. Okay. So network structure, increasing volatility of the environment and knowledge based industries leads to creation of a network structure. It is a web structure that is composed of series of project groups or region group or function groups or collaborations linked by constantly changing non-hierarchical cobweb-like networks. This structure is highly decentralized and organized around customer goals or geographical regions. They're located not in one place but are scattered far and wide. So that's why it's called network structure, just like the web is connected to different organizations, different groups. Network structure is most suited for organizations that have to face a continually changing environment requiring quick response, high level of adaptability, and strong innovation skills. This structure makes extensive use of outsourcing of support services required to produce and market products and services. There are few sources internally, and the network structure organization relies healthy and outside resources who are specialized in the respective. Like for example, uh, when we speak of outsourcing, like for example, the BPOs. Okay, the BPOs. Like for example, let me give you a good example. Like for example, the PLDT have different. Like for example, the PLDT have different organizations that are connected to them, just for the PLDT to be able to deliver their their services to their clientele. So they need outsourcing. So they need to apply the outsourcing. Okay. Like for example, there is this part of the PLDT in which this organization is just intended to handle problems in internet, and then there is another, they're connected to PLDT. Again, their purpose is to be able to attend the needs right away, immediately the needs of their client. Then there is another structure that is that that will just help the customers to receive the problems encountered by the clientele when it comes to the services that the PLDT is providing. Because without this outsourcing, well, of course, the PLDT is too wide to entertain all the needs and all the needs of their customers. So if they cannot handle their customers, then the tendency is that the customers will just go to another network. Okay, because their problems cannot be solved right away. So uh, that's why there are this outsourcing for them to be able to deliver their service in a way that the customers will be satisfied. Because of course, they will not just be focusing on on attending the needs of their customers, but also they also need to promote their the services that they are providing. So other than this technical support, there is another umbrella. Part of the umbrella of the PLDT is another outsource that will advertise their product. Okay, so that is how it works. Okay, like for example, the corporate headquarters, then there is this project group 1 structure, then this function X structure, function Y structure, project group 1 structure, region B structure, region A structure. So like for example, the function X, Y here, like for example, the example that I just had given a while ago, like for example, this corporate headquarters, the PLDT, this function X is the technical support. The function Y is the technical support. This function X is technical support for the phone. This one function Y is the technical support to in receiving the calls. This project group 1 structure is for the promotion of your product. Then region A structure is this is for another headquarter to promote their product. Region B structure is another area to promote their product. So that is network structure. So what are the advantages? High level of flexibility to change structural arrangement in line with business requirements, permits concentration on core competencies of the organization, adaptability to cope with the rapid environmental changes. So disadvantages, loss of control and lack of coordination as there are several partners. So we really cannot avoid this in network structure because it's really broad. So that's why we really cannot avoid this loss of control and lack of coordination. Risk of over specialization as most tasks are performed by others. High cost as duplication of resource could exist because there are different outsourcing. Okay, so product-based structure. Product-based structure is the grouping of activities on the basis of the product or product lines where there is a need to delegate a division, all functions related to that particular product or product line. Such a need arises when the strategy adopted requires exclusive attention to product or group of products that have high demand in the market. Expansion and diversification strategy may require product-based structure as it facilitates addition or deletion of product division. So this is product-based structure. Okay, so here in the structure, you will see from the word itself, from the word itself, product, to just the same with the function. The focus of the function base, again, the focus of the function based structure is the employees are grouped according to their field of expertise. Here in product-based structure, the focus now here is the product. So here you will see in the product-based structure is there are different specialty. The different functions now will focus on the different specializations. Okay, so the different products. Like for example, for the product division A, in product division A, there are also group of individuals who are going to accomplish the task for the particular product. Okay, like for example, here you will see for product division A have the finance, human resources management, sales, marketing, and operations. So for the product, same goes with the other product. So again, do not be confused. For the functional base structure, the focus is on the different specializations or on the different functions of the different individuals. So here in the product-based structure, the focus now is on the product. The structure is based on the products. Also, advantages, exclusive attention to a product or a group of products. Optimum use of specialized skills and equipment. Increased coordination. Fixing of responsibility for profit making and usage of resources. Okay, like for example, here, like I said a while ago, for the product-based structure, like for example, for the product division A, there are different specializations to handle product A, different specialists, different departments that have different specializations product A, so same with the different product division. So it can only be justified if the volume of sales disadvantageous. It can only be justified if the volume of sales of the product line is large enough. So this will only happen if a particular product has high demand. Resources and skills may not be optimally utilized. Okay. So customer-based structure, the focus now here, if the function is on the different specialization, if the product is on the different products, the focus here, the focus now here is on the customer. So customer bases that may be created in the base of customer groups served. The rationale for customer bases structures that grouping of activities on the basis of customers to enable organizations to provide exclusive attention to separate and distinct customer groups. Say for example, in a shop that offers, like for example, for the Globe. So they they are applying this customer-based structure, they have this office in which they are going to offer this after-sales support. Okay, so when we speak of after-sales, these are now the warranties in which, like, for example, the Globe customer have the Globe customer encountered problem when it comes to their unit. So the Globe, like Globe said, they're applying this customer-based structure. So if this happens, then the customer will just go to the referred shop by the Globe. That is the shop in which they will their concern when it comes to their problem when it comes to their unit will be the one to entertain their problem. Okay, so that is customer-based structure. Okay, so another is let's stick to Globe. Like, for example, for the Globe, there is this shop, there is this office in which the clients will go to that office to tell what are their problems encountered when it comes to the service for the Globe. Okay, so there's this receptionist who will be the one to cater the needs. And then this receptionist will be the one to advise for the customers, to tell to the customers that they need to go to this particular shop so that their concern will be attended, like, for example, fixing their phones. Okay. So advantages: exclusive attention to separate and distinct customer groups, implementing market orientation to serve customer better, use of specialized skills in marketing, timely response to changing customers' needs. So another good example for this is, like, for example, in land bank, in a bank, land bank, or in different banks, and every bank, if you will observe, when you go outside, then you will be asked what is the service that you need. So there you will be categorized, and after the bank, after getting your concern, what particular concern you are up to, why you're there, so you will be told to go in that particular window. So that is customer-based structure. So disadvantages that can only be justified if the volume of sales in the individual customer group is large enough. So just like the product-based structure, so it can only be justified if this particular organization are expecting too many clientele, because they really need to do this for them to be able for the resources not to be wasted. Okay, because resources and skills may not be optimally utilized. Like for example, if that is just a small organization, then if they will be using this customer-based structure, so since it's just a small organization, then they're going to provide different offices, different departments for different problems, then that will cause them to waste their resources. Okay, geographic structure. From the word geographic, the structure is based on the different places. So multi-plant or multi-unit organizations which have several factories and offices dispersed geographically is usually organized on the basis of geographic structure. Okay, so here, for example, here there is the CEO, the corporate staff. This corporate staff is the main area, the main place. Okay, and then next is the different coordinators, the chief operating officer for region A, for region B, for region C. Okay, so for the geographic structure, that pertains to different places now assigned, a different place as area assignment. So advantages: the centralization to a local level, because of course the decision now depends on the area, because they have different environments that they're going to adapt to use of locally available resources and raw materials. Like for example, Like for example, what are the available resources in particular environment in that particular place. So for them not to waste another resources, so they will just be using different materials in doing the particular product, so that for the organization to waste another resources for the transportation. Okay, so they will going to find resources that is applicable in the product that they are going to do. Fairness to markets. So that if that's geography, then of course they're going to place their organization to where the customer is. So disadvantage, high level of coordination. Why it is high level of coordination? Because of course they are from different places, like what I've said a while ago. Of course, the different individuals are handling the the area. Of course, they have different way of how they're going to understand the communication coming from their CEO. So we are really gonna avoid that the circumstance that sometimes the way the way that particular coordinator understand the thing is different from the others, or from the perception of the coordinator of the CEO. Communication between different units and with the central corporate departments is needed. Okay, that is really needed for, of course, for the other departments to be updated what is needed to be done. Okay, so intrapreneurial structure. So the term intrapreneur is a combination of two words, internal and intrapreneur, and means an entrepreneur internal to the organization. So like for example in McDonald's, so there is the McDonald's have this restaurant and they have another entrepreneur. The purpose of this entrepreneur is to add additional income to the organization. So like for example, there is an individual assigned outside the McDonald's setting for this particular person to accommodate the walk-ins. Okay. So another entrepreneur are those who are in the drive-thru. So this entrepreneur is the ones who accepts orders of the customer who are just one who wants to order take out in the restaurant. So that is an entrepreneur internal to the organization. Okay, for instance, managers who are paid employees of the organization often exceed entrepreneurial abilities. These are actually entrepreneurs. Organizational resources should be allocated to such development efforts, and if they prove to be promising, and you venture department and creative which can see further development of new ideas, products, and services. So just like in strategic business unit, if that idea of the entrepreneur inside the company is effective, then it may continue to happen inside like for example, the example that I just given a while ago, like for example, assigning a person outside the McDonald's setting, then if that proves to be promising, then it will become a venue that there will always be a person to be assigned outside because the additional income that it brings to the company or to the organization. As advantages, innovation and creativity within an organization is fostered. New products and services are developed humanly. Work is satisfying and motivating for highly qualified individuals. So disadvantages, management and coordination of several small groups. Organization should be in a position to risk time and resources when projects are not successful. So that's just the risk. That, for example, you're going to assign another person outside the premises of the organization. So you cannot avoid the fact that sometimes it will not become successful. So just wasted. But anyway, it's only part of the game. A new venture department, if created, would stand to lose its status of development and innovation ceases. So emerging form structures, the network structure is an emerging form of organizational structure. Other examples are of horizontal and delaminated matrix type of structures. So you know horizontal organizations, delaminated or combination of horizontal organization with a functional structure. Okay, so we have interorganizational structure. So an example of this is the linkages, the different linkages. Like for example, the PAL, the Philippine Airline. The good example of interorganizational structure is the Philippine Airline. If you were able to experience to ride in an airplane, like for example, the PAL, where you will see that the food being served inside the plane comes from, sometimes it's from Goldilocks, sometimes it's from Red Ribbon. I cannot just remember. So that particular company have this linkage to PAL. Like for example, if you cannot, if the flight will be delayed or if the flight will be canceled, then the PAL will offer hotels, for example, Manila Hotel, or so that is part of their linkages. So these are, so there are partners of the organization. So the good thing there is, instead of looking for like for example delayed or flight or cancellation of the flight, the PAL canceled the flight, then the good thing there is if they have partner hotel, then it will not be difficult for them to place their customers in that place. Okay. Like for example, for the snacks that is being provided to the customers inside the plane, it will not be difficult for the call to bake, to have a problem when it comes to snacks because it will be delivered by a particular company. Okay. So organizations can choose to build relationships in many ways, such as appointing preferred suppliers, establishing agreements, business partnering, setting up research and development consortia, outsourcing services, entering joint ventures, and even merge acquisitions. Okay, so here, like for example, in this, okay, so like for example, the one that I just mentioned, that's the PAL. Another example is like for example the bank, they have their school, university. Like for example, the Philcast Bank, they are connected to Central University, CEU, Central Scholar University. Then they also have this bank. They also have this Manila Hotel. So they're partner organizations.